Hello, crafty friends. Lisa here, and I am super excited to be back sharing another card making tutorial here on the Whimsy Stamps YouTube channel. During this card making tutorial, I'm sharing how you can easily modify your dies to get more use out of them. Now, I will be using the paint and palette die set from Whimsy to demonstrate. We're going to have a lot of fun with this one. We're doing partial die cutting technique. We're going to do a little bit of masking. We're also doing a 2-for-1. I'm going to show you how to take your cutouts and use those to create a second card. Now, here are some cards that I created when this die set first came onto the market, and you can see it's such a great set. I love it. To get started, we have the paint and palette die set laid out here with a 4¼ by 5½ inch piece of white cardstock. Now, you can see the die set comes with a lot of dies to create different styles of paint brushes. You get the palette. There's actually paint that you can put on the brush. You're going to see all of this during the video. We're getting started with the palette. So there's 2 dies for this. And we're going to go ahead and I'm going to show you I have 2 hearts here from the Slimline Heartbeats die set. Now you can use any hearts that you have for this. You just want them to be a little bit smaller because we're going to replace the round cutouts on the palette with our hearts. So I have my die cut machine here and I'm using a magnetic platform plus a cutting plate, and I'm going to lay my white cardstock down on the cutting plate. We're going to start with just the palette shape first and cut one of those out. So here I have the die that cuts out all the circles, but I only want to cut out the largest circle, the thumb area of the palette. So partial die cutting, it's so easy. We're going to line the edge of our cutting plate up to where we want to cut. So I want to stop cutting right there on the other side of that large circle, and that's where I'm going to stop my plate. So when you think about partial die cutting, always remember you want pressure where you're cutting. If you remember that one simple thing, it's so easy to do partial die cutting. Now, for demonstration purposes, I moved that die cutting plate so that you could see what cut out. You want to leave that in place and grab a pencil. We're going to do some tiny little tick marks on the inside of each of those circles because X marks the spot. That's going to let us know where we want to cut our hearts out. When I go to cut out the hearts, I'm going to start on the left side by the thumb area, and then I'm going to move to the right side to cut the next heart out. And then we'll go and fill in that same fashion. And the reason that I do it this way, it makes spacing so much easier and you don't have to worry about if you're going to run out of space. We need one more palette shape cut out, so I'm going to run that through the machine real quick. And I want to tell you to hang on to your negative piece that you have. Also hang on to the hearts that you cut out because we're going to take all of these leftover pieces to create a second card. Now that we have all of our die cut pieces, we're going to create a quick mask so I can mask off that thumb area. When I do my ink blending, I don't want to ink up that area. I only want to ink up the heart. So I have a piece of Post-it paper here. I lay the die cut piece over it, draw a circle, and then I'm going to cut larger than the drawn circle. So it's just a very simple mask. Then to put it in place, I'm simply going to bring that die cut piece back over and just slide the mask up underneath there, centering it so that I know my thumb area is completely covered and I won't get any ink in that area. Now I'm going to do some ink blending with Distress Oxides, and I'm using Lumberjack Plaid. We're using Kitsch Flamingo and Picked Raspberry. And we're just going to start with the Lumberjack Plaid closest to that masked area. And then we're going to come in with the Kitsch Flamingo down on the bottom left side and then finish off with the Picked Raspberry in the center of the two, blending together. So while I'm here ink blending, I decided to go ahead and add some of the Lumberjack Plaid to my ink or to my paint drip that I'm adding to my paintbrush. So you can see off to the right of the screen there, I have all those die cut pieces. Those are for the paint brushes that I'm going to be using on the cards. And we're going to talk about those in just a few seconds, but I figured I had the ink right there. Let's just go ahead and do that. I removed the masking from the thumb hole area, and I'm going to go ahead and glue these pieces together so they can sit and dry while I start to work on putting my brushes together. But you can see here how this turned out. I absolutely love the look of this. Well, I'm going to use some Barely Art glue to the back of this die cut piece, and then we'll secure it to the ink blended piece. And I'm just going to take some of the magnets that came with my glass board and set on top of it while it dries. Here's a quick look at the paintbrush put together. I feel like these pieces are really easy to assemble, and I don't want to take up a lot of time putting together the brushes on screen. But like I said, they are so easy to put together. And I left the handles on all of my brushes white and used a touch of gold foil and then added the little paint in different colors on my brushes. And you'll see those at the end of the video on the card samples. So moving into my first card background, I was going to do white embossed background on a card base, and that's what I'm doing here. And I'm using the brick background from Whimsy. I'm ink this up with Versamark ink, and I've actually put down some anti-static powder on the cardstock before I started stamping it. And then I'm going to come in with white embossing powder and go ahead and heat set this piece. Now, while I'm doing it, I realize that I don't want the whole card to be embossed. So what I'm going to do once I have this embossed is take it to the paper trimmer and trim it down and then put it on a fresh card base. I'm bringing in a light gray ink just to dirty up this panel a little bit. I'm starting in the center with a Whimsy blender brush and that light gray ink, and I'm just working my way out from the center. And the reason I'm starting in the center, my palette is going to be in the center. So if I have any mistakes, it'll be covered up by the paint palette and no one will see it. And the reason that I decided to come in and add this gray was just to create a little bit of color to this so it stands out a little from the card base that I'm going to be using. So once I have the gray laid down and I'm happy with the way that it looks, I'm going to come in with mounting foam to the back of the paint palette, and we're going to start adding all the pieces to this embossed background. So we got all the pieces added to the embossed background. I centered that up on an A2 top fold card base, and I'm adding a foiled sentiment. Now I'm going to talk to you a little later in the video about the sentiments that I'm using on the cards, so be sure you stick around for that. I'm going to finish this card off with some glazed confetti. I'm using glazed strawberry in the lumberjack plaid heart there. I'm going to come in with glazed cherry in the area where I have the picked raspberry ink. And then in the lightest area of the Kitsch Flamingo ink, I'm going to use glazed candy confetti. These colors go great with the Distress Oxides, and it adds just a tiny bit of shine to our cards. So we have leftover pieces. We have the negative piece left from the palette shape, and then we have the hearts and the thumb piece that we have left over from die cutting. And we want to use those pieces. What we're going to do is create our second card. And what I've done is taken the negative shape, I've laid it over an A2 card base. And we're going to do some simple ink blending with Memento ink. And this is a dye ink, and it's gray flannel. So just a real quick ink blending to give us the shape on our card base. I have a spare die cut piece here that I'm using just to help me position this one die cut piece. This is that die cut thumb piece, and we're just going to go ahead and use that to help me place that on the palette perfectly. Now I have the hearts here, and I used acrylic paint pens to color them. I'm going to show you the acrylic paint pens in just a few minutes. But first, I'm adding the hearts with some foam square adhesives. And I'm going to go ahead and position the paintbrush on the palette and get that mounted on there as well. I do want to talk to you about the sentiments that I used. Now, Whimsy has this great stamp set called Artist Toolkit, and it has some amazing sentiments in it. It's just a amazing set to go with the paint and palette die set. The sentiments in it are so beautiful. I, however, wanted sentiments that were Valentine related. So I wanted one that said, "You're a work of art." I also wanted one, just some Valentine sentiments and stuff like that. And I also wanted to be able to foil my sentiments. So, if you want to get the sentiments that I used along with some other ones, there's a link down below that will take you over to Dropbox for a free download of a sheet of sentiments that I created to use with these cards. With that said, you need to know that while my sentiments are foiled, it's because I have a laser printer. If you don't have a laser printer, you won't be able to foil them, but I have two versions in the Dropbox file. The reason that I decided to do two versions of this is for those of you who don't have a laser printer and you just want to print the white background with the black font, then you'll be able to do that. Now, if you do have a laser printer, you can use either of them and print them out with your laser printer and then foil them. Here's a quick peek at those acrylic paint pens that I talked about just a few minutes ago. Now I'm just showing you how I'm going back over what I'd already colored with this acrylic pen, and they work beautifully. I'm not going to go too deep into them in this video because I've already laid so much information out there in front of you, but I am going to be doing a video that goes deeper into detail about the pens and how to use them to color your die cut pieces. And that'll be coming up very soon here on the Whimsy Stamps channel. So be sure you're subscribed to the channel and you've clicked that notification bell so you don't miss out on that video coming up. This is going to bring us to the end of our time today. I really do appreciate you joining me. Again, please remember, if you want that sheet of sentiments, all you need to do is click the link in the description box below and it'll take you straight to Dropbox where you can download them to your computer from there. And I also have all of my affiliate links listed down below where you can click on those to hop over to the Whimsy Stamps website and check out all the amazing products that I used in today's video. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. A great way to modify your dies to create more projects with them. I love the idea of getting more use out of our supplies. I appreciate you guys so very much for joining me. I can't wait to see you again. Until next time, please take care.